Ben Davison for Glenn McCoy's Voice of Boxing with Ben Davison. Nice place for a press conference, Ben, today?
Yeah, lovely place. Hertfordshire's a lovely place. Like everybody, I'm sure is aware, it's not far from where me and Billy Joe are from. And it was a successful press conference.
Yeah, it was a little low-key. I did hear Michelle Joy Phelps making the point that Billy Joe was quite low-key today, but he said when the guy doesn't speak the language, it's a bit difficult to get into any trash talk.
It is, yeah, it is. And I think Billy Joe's just at the point now where he just wants to get the job done, you know. It's not... Sufi's a respectful guy, and so I'm sure Billy Joe will be respectful. If you trash talk Billy Joe, you're asking for it, ain't you? But if you're respectful, I'm sure he'll be respectful back.
Billy Joe seems to be of the view that if he's on his game, he should box the guy's head off, and he believes that Sufi's only realistic way of winning the fight is via the short route, if he's lucky enough to detonate a bomb on Billy Joe's chin. Is that pretty much the way you see it?
To a certain degree, yes. But listen, if Billy Joe's on song, I don't fancy anybody against him. That's the God's honest truth.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what was your opinion of the Jacobs-Canelo fight, for instance? Because I know
very
middleweights.
Poor.
Go on.
Very
expand.
poor.
Because you're a boxing professor, I know.
Very
that.
poor from the pair of them. I thought that neither of them performed very well. I think that I wasn't impressed at all, to be honest.
Most people were impressed with Canelo and seemed to feel Jacobs didn't want it bad enough that he was going to walk through hell to get it.
I think in the early part of the fight, Jacobs made Canelo look better than he was. I think in the second half of the fight, I think Canelo was poor, and I don't think Jacobs was great.
Middleweight is still very much an option for Billy Joe. This came about because he'd said things were stalling with Andrade.
Really, Billy Joe's a middleweight at the end of the day, you know.
Yep.
But Billy Joe's not the type of opponent that anybody's going to go, let's box Billy Joe Saunders, you know.
Frank Warren said that today.
That's not going to happen. And if I was advising any fighters, I'm not going to say the same thing. But opportunities have come up. There's a vacant title. Sufi at number 1, boxing Billy Joe Saunders, former WBO middleweight champion of the world. And we'll see what options open up. But I think to make those big fights is going to be tough. Billy Joe's management and promotional team, MTK and obviously Frank Warren are going to have to work hard to get Billy Joe in a position that forces those big fights.
But you absolutely want those big fights with the likes of Saul Canelo Alvarez.
1,000,000%.
And Golovkin.
1,000,000%. They're the fights that if we could pick anything, and those are the fights that should be made. Billy Joe for a long time was WBO middleweight champion of the world. Mm-hmm. And those are the fights that should have been made in that time. Hopefully we can get in a position where we can make those fights this time. All
right, well, let's talk about the fights that should be made, and let's talk about your other charge, Tyson Fury.
Yep.
A lot of thing in the news recently about the WBC's intention to mandate White versus your man Fury. Tyson, who loves social media and he's quite a manipulator and he's a bit of a card, he said, I'll do it for the diamond belt because of the prestige. He said, but not for the interim belt. Is he just kidding around, or is he being deadly serious that it's about the bill in the packaging?
What is his principle?
Go on.
Tyson isn't going to box a final eliminator to box a man that he already beat.
Yes.
You know, that's not going to happen. And people say, but, you know, he turned down the Wilder fight. Well, hold on a minute. If you ordered a takeaway from a restaurant and got food poisoning, would you go back and order from there again? And if you did and you got food poisoning again, people would say you're stupid. So if we was to go back there and get robbed again and do the same thing on their platform in their backyard and got robbed again, people would call us stupid.
Here's my take on it. I feel the fight was the kind of fight that many people believed it demanded an immediate rematch. It was that important, it was that controversial, and it had to be fresh.
But the scorecard was controversial. Mm-hmm. Not the fact that I think 99, it wasn't like 50% thought Tyson won, 50% thought Wilder won. It was that the scorecards were controversial. I think if you spoke to 97, 98% of people in boxing, they would say Tyson Fury won that fight.
For sure. So, are you saying the same as Tyson, that you actually both quite fancy the Dillian White fight, but you're not doing it for the belittling context of an eliminator to get the right to fight a guy you've already stood in his head?
He's not boxing because anybody's ordered him to box somebody for a final eliminator against somebody who's already boxed. But what he is saying, and you know, nobody's gone to any other elite world champions' backyards, 2 different champions' backyards, other than Tyson. So actions speak louder than words, and he's done that. Facts are facts. He's gone and done that. Showed the bollocks to get up and do that. So what Tyson, obviously Tyson's priority, obviously being understandable, is Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. He wants those fights, but if those fights can't get made, he will take the next best thing. But he's not going to do it for a final eliminator, put himself in a position to be where he's already at.
Is Tom Schwartz a better fighter than people might imagine?
It's a bit of an unknown quantity, you know. He could absolutely fold under pressure. He could fold on the night. Or he could rise to the occasion and bring an extra 50-60%. So, you know, but he's 6'6". He's got relatively fast feet. I've seen him have to show heart. He's shown that. He's young, hungry. How can you underestimate a man like that?
Where do you stand on the Joshua Ruiz thing at the start of next month? A lot of people said it's a better fight than Jarrell Miller, and people say don't sleep on this guy. He may not look the body beautiful, but he presents his dangers.
Yeah, Andy Ruiz is a good fighter. Again, you've got to respect him. I just think, and fair play to them. They've tried to get a leg replacement and done a fairly good job on that with Andy Ruiz. But stylistically, for me, I just think that, you know, it's going to be a tough one for Ruiz. Ruiz isn't the type of fighter that will use his feet to come in and out of distance. He'll try and catch and counter. And when you've got such a physical difference, that's a hard tactic to implement. You know, when you watch Povetkin was sitting underneath the shots and firing back. But to take him on the gloves against such a bigger man and fire back, it's a very, very tough ask.
Final question. People have been talking about it in the last 48 hours. Do you regard Deontay Wilder's continued, seemingly quite dispassionate and serious comments that he would like to kill an opponent? Is it unacceptable, or is he not the first man to have said such things? And should we take it with a pinch of salt?
He's not the first man to have said things, but somebody, a close friend of ours and a close friend of the team, Jim Hemmings, put something on Facebook this morning which was 100% right. He said, I'd like to see Deontay Wilder make those comments stood in front of Gerald McClellan and Michael Watson.
It's a step too far, isn't it?
It is
no
a
matter
step
how
too
you spin
far.
it.
Now, I've met Wilder a few times, obviously, and spoke to him, and always been a respectful guy and nice guy. I do think the comments are too far, but you know, it's not my position to make a decision. But I think you know, there's a lot going on for him at the minute psychologically, and it'll be interesting just to see how that plays out on Saturday.
Indeed. Ben, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for making yourself available once again. The very best of luck on Saturday night and beyond.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much. Cheers, mate.